Welcome to this edition of the Ohén iente Ratitsénhaienhs update. KahnawakeTV. So lots of exciting news coming out of MCK in the last couple of weeks. I've been extremely busy, a lot of travel, but I think most important to announce is that on November 1st, Derek White and Hunter Montour won their court case, which I was there in the court and I heard the judge's ruling in terms of what this means now for Ohén across Turtle Island, and basically for us specifically as it pertains to Haudenosaunee and KahnawakeTV people, the realization that the covenant chain and what that means, a relationship that goes back hundreds of years, is still intact, and it is still going to continue forward for generations to come based on that Gaswanta Degani Deohade relationship that was established. And you know, the other thing about Aboriginal rights, you know, it's always mentioned about Section 35(1) and what those mean, but basically now this court case confirms, you know, that we do have rights that are, I guess, now going to continue to be realized. What that judge did was open up now the dialogue and the conversation of what gets put into that box. And I know that for the longest time, UNDRIP has been worked on, you know, to establish like we have a right to an economy, we have a right to, you know, various trades and things that are now relevant, because what Vanderpeet did, and I know I'm going to get a little bit, you know, legal, I'll put legal terms out there. That was a test case that was used, it's like 30 years old, and it kind of left our rights stuck in time. Like at that time, we weren't doing, let's say tobacco the way we are today, right? But we have to evolve with the times. We're not trading beaver pelts anymore. So to say that we weren't doing these activities, well, neither was, you know, the general population. And how come they didn't consult with us, right? When they passed certain legislation or excise tax act, different things like that. So what this further establishes is that they have a responsibility and an obligation to consult with us on matters that, you know, impact us. So it was definitely a historic landmark decision yesterday. I imagine it's going to get appealed, but it also recognizes the fact that we had our own governance, we had our own legislative structures, and we still do. You know, it's not like we've stopped exercising and doing these things to take responsibility for our own, you know, functions and services here in the community. So I can't even explain and elaborate how much of a win this is for us. And we have to keep pushing forward, using it in the different tables through the Kahnawake-Canada relations table now, and to hold their feet to the fire that, you know, this relationship is meaningful to us and has always been, and that we're going to continue on, like I said, pushing for our rights, inherent rights, Aboriginal rights, all of that, and exercising them the way we should. So amazing win on November 1st. There was also a press conference here in the community on October 30th regarding policing services. There's a lot of First Nations across the country that are all, you know, First Nations policing. It's all our people. Kahnawake peacekeepers are a prime example. We don't have any non-Ohén that are part of the police force. And we know that our situation is very unique here in Kahnawake because we have so many people traversing our territory daily with the highways and the bridge and so forth. So although when funding is provided by the feds and the province, it's usually based on population size. So it doesn't factor in the number of cars that are, you know, commuting through our territory daily, and of the fact that now we have more businesses. So more people in the community means, you know, more needs. And if we look at, you know, external, what they're getting on the outside in terms of policing, you know, there's a major disparity as it pertains to salaries and wages, benefits. So, you know, I think the whole premise of the press conference was to try to say that this is, you know, ridiculous now. We need to have it recognized as an essential service, and that they got to provide more funding so that we can equitably police our territory and, you know, the people that are coming here. Safety is paramount, and if they had to have their police forces in here, which we know would probably never fly, it would cost them way more money. So, you know, that's what they're pushing for. So hopefully we'll see some movement there. On October 20th, I had 2 high-level meetings, I'll say, with the governor, excuse me, not the governor general, the consul general, newly appointed to Montreal, Mr. Sanders. And, you know, he was recently replacing Anna Escorjima, which unfortunately I had built a pretty good relationship with her in her role. And basically what it pertains to is, you know, we have a lot of Kahnawake who were born in the United States who are deemed citizens under their laws and obviously have US passports, but it becomes cumbersome and problematic for travel because in Canada you could only travel on or only hold and possess one type of passport, and you know they tend to get snagged at the airport or have problems crossing the border for travel. And how we could utilize this relationship to assist Kahnawake who fall into these predicaments. And she even, or excuse me, he had offered in following up on the work that was done to even have information sessions here in the community to be able to provide the forms or anything necessary for people to get renewed passports if they so choose for ease of travel. So that took place, and then right after had a meeting with Menam Essay, who is one of the co-chiefs or co-spokespersons. I laughed when she said they used the word chief, to basically mention what their strategy is as the Quebec Solidaire party in Quebec. Obviously, they are ones that are looking to have independence or separation from Canada. I had told her, you know, I don't think we formally took a position on it, but, you know, if you want to, in terms of recognition of whose land it is, like, I didn't want to be rude, but you're all guests here on these lands, and who are you to think that you're going to separate from, you know, a country without consulting or engaging with the people, the original and true people of these lands. So, more to come on that. I know that in the next couple of years, obviously, different political parties in Quebec are going to be trying to push this agenda. And I think we need to stay strong as a community, as a nation, and even in this region, all of the First Nations of the AFNQL, to say not on our watch, and recognize that this is our land that has never been extinguished or unceded. I was also recently at a Blackberry Summit in New York City. I was invited because they're looking for First Nations that want to be part of a pilot project that initiates a cybersecurity project. And we're starting to see, I don't know why this is the case, but First Nations are being targeted by cyber, I don't know what you call them, cyber criminals or people who just want to, you know, create havoc and even try to get ransom from First Nations communities, maybe because they have gaming or different initiatives, but you know, taking down their infrastructure and putting spyware, ransomware, all these kind of things. So we need to be protected as well. You know, we have sensitive information here in the community. We have our own hospital here in the community. So although right now their focus is Mohawk Council of Kahnawake, it doesn't mean that the pilot cannot extend to other organizations here in the community. I think the first ditch effort is just to garner as much information as possible of where these threats are coming from, and to use it as justification to go to the government and ask for funding to be able to put in all this protective infrastructure. If we get in on the pilot, all of the fees are waived, and hopefully we'll get, you know, other communities to get involved and to protect their information. So that was all expenses were paid for me to attend, and there's 6 communities that are being looked at as, I guess, to advance this pilot project. and Kahnawake is one of them. I think we're viewed always as a leader and someone that can be at the forefront of cutting edge opportunities. So I think this could be a real win for our community. So we're looking to start this process as soon as possible before the federal budget cycle commences rather quickly. I was also in Calgary, Alberta for the J-Treaty Border Alliance Summit that was hosted by the Blackfoot Confederacy. Myself, Ratitsénhaienhs, Ross Montour, Alexis Shackleton, and Dennis Daibo were in attendance because they are technicians on two of the tables. Last year, we commenced this process with the federal government to have what we call the high table. It's really to establish recognition of what is the J-Treaty and why is it not applicable as it pertains to Ungwehunwe born in the U.S. And we know Agwazasne of all communities, right? The border traverses right through their territory and they are our sister community. So we see some of the challenges of how if someone is born on the U.S. side and they're trying to register their child on the Canadian side, they're deemed as only being Asana or half Ungwehunwe because they're not recognized as tribal people. And it's crazy because we know as being born on this side of the border, we can go live, work, go to school in the United States. It's basically like a dual citizenship, but it's not the same for US born. So we're trying to push for parity in terms of that recognition and that the border shouldn't create kind of like immigrants or this illegal alien status. And we see that sometimes people are trying to push employees or students to get these alien registration cards when they shouldn't have to. So that is one component, as well as trying to remove the 50% plus one blood quantum requirement. I know is really important to a lot of tribes on the US side, as well as for us. I mean, I know when we cross the border, right, sometimes we're required to provide a letter that comes from the OKKR office saying, you know, that we can attest that this person is more than 50%. We should just be able to travel on our documents, right? So I think that's basically one of the other issues that we're pushing for. And those 4 technical tables are definitely making some headway in terms of border experience. What are our people going through? What has the experience been like? Is it getting better? Because now CBSA has an Indigenous unit dealing with our issues as it pertains to border crossing, as well as the travel documents, the transportation of goods. So there's definitely a lot of work going, more to come. I think we'll definitely see some legislative changes coming in 2024. And it's mostly all Kahnawake people that are advancing this work. So hats off to those that are part of the J-Treaty Border Alliance. Many people have seen in the news recently about the Kahnawake Gaming Commission and Mohawk Council supporting their decision to take swift action as it pertained to allegations about Magic Palace. I know this obviously puts a black eye on the community and on our jurisdiction as it pertains to the outside, but you know what? It's been done before. I find La Presse, when they come out with articles as it pertains to Kahnawake, isn't really fair, and it kind of tries to paint us in a certain way. You know, for us, we take our governance and our jurisdiction very seriously, and I think the fact that action was taken so quickly, you know, it wasn't like weeks later, it was immediate. And to try to reconcile, you know, I guess even communities' fear about, you know, what this meant and how people were feeling about it. So we're definitely on top of it. I know the KGC is doing their due diligence in terms of follow-up and if there's any investigations required, but more to come on that. And I hope the community, you know, can take assurance that, you know, everything was done to look at this and say, what do we have to do to take immediate action? And I think, you know, what was done so far, and obviously, like I said, more to come in the next little while. Language and culture. We know that the building for the new museum, cultural theater, cultural center, sorry, is moving along. I think we're even going to be doing a groundbreaking soon. There was a major event, a language and culture showcase that took place recently at the home of Frank and Donna McCumber, and it was just amazing, you know, in terms of all of the things that we do in this community, all of the talent that we have, and showing people on the outside what is going to be housed in this building. Even the young people, the youth that are a part of the Turtle Island Theater, to put on, you know, a little bit of a play, you know, a shortened version of their recent Beauty and the Beast. Because this is what we're doing it for, right? Our young people should have every opportunity, you know, to excel in what it is that they're passionate about. And the arts is one that we see that a lot more youth are steering their attention to, but then there'll also be, you know, opportunities for language revitalization. We know Duda and Okwardi comes out of there. That's our 2-year program for adults, you know, so it's so essential and important that we continue to move in this direction. We know it's an expensive building, but our community deserves only the best. So I'm out there as the chairperson of the capital campaign, and, you know, we're seeing, you know, other companies and organizations and foundations on the outside really wanting to be a part of this and to see it come to fruition. And just so excited for it to come along in the next 2 years, and that, you know, community will be using that space as a hub to exchange Ganyageha and Ziniguarihoda, and just so excited for, you know, the cultural center to finally have a permanent home, and same for Turtle Island Theater and our tourism office, and obviously a museum. Finally, we could showcase, you know, all of the amazing things that we've been able to provide historically, and yeah, just to be proud of. And we know a lot of people are going to come from the outside to learn about who we are, and who better from ourselves directly. So exciting times with that. Another exciting initiative obviously is our Champlain Hudson Power Express line, where we've created this partnership now with Hydro-Quebec. I was recently at another groundbreaking. This one was in Queens Astoria for the actual substation. And it's just another groundbreaking kind of partnership that we've been able to create with a crown corporation like Hydro-Quebec. And I know, you know, there's still some skepticism, right? Like other First Nations, I know our brother and sister communities to the AF&QL are saying, well, how did you get to be the beneficiary of something like this? Well, it's cutting through our historical territory, right down Highway 15 on the way to Champlain. And we advocated for it. You know, we were already starting a relationship with Hydro-Quebec when they did the decommissioning of the hydro lines. But what the commitment that I've made through the AF&QL is to those brother and sister communities, we're going to help you guys get your fair share as well. There's a new CEO and president at Hydro-Quebec, and I know they want to do things differently. They know that they cannot approach First Nations the way they did historically and just ignore our territorial boundaries, our rights, and that they want to be able to use this as a model for them moving forward. So I think today there's actually supposed to be a major announcement from Michael Sabia, President and CEO as well. I know that there is an energy plan being put forth by Minister Fitzgibbon and Lafreniere. So all of these things are converging. And like I said, I think Kahnawake is going to be at the forefront of saying this is the way things have to be now in terms of recognition of us and making us true partners. No longer, you know, just pay us out and we're using your land and too bad. No, we want to be beneficiaries economically, and obviously it's political, because we're the ones that have to push for this recognition as leadership for our communities, so that, you know, our people get their fair share. And it's not always just about money. It's recognition, like I said, of our people's longstanding that we've been here, right, since time immemorial, and that you can't just utilize our lands without us. And true partnership is the way to go, and we have to continue to build off of that. The other thing I'll mention, I know it's a long update because it's been a while since I've done this, is the ongoing issues on the 207. We did have a special community meeting at the Knights of Columbus mid-September, and we were telling the residents out there that we know that their quality of life and safety is important. There's been obviously a significant increase in traffic as people are trying to get to the Mercier Bridge in the morning. but even all day, all hours of the day, you know, there's been excessive speeding. We know the speed limit there is 50, so we've been taking actions. I know there's going to be a painting of a double solid line so that there won't be passing anymore on the 207. I know that's been problematic. There's been accidents. So at the time when the 207 was first created, it was a railroad track, and then it turned into a residential road. And then because of, you know, our neighbors wanting to have access to the bridge, then it eventually turned into this Quebec highway. But, you know, we're pushing MTQ to say we have to take back control of that road. What that's going to look like in the future, you know, we want to have water and sewer access down the 207. We know right now with the current footprint, it's dangerous with the culverts on the sides. So we're doing everything we can to try to ensure that we're exploring options to make it more safe and to make, you know, our residents out there know that they're important as well. And we heard a lot of their concerns at that meeting. So there's a working group that even has a couple of community members who have been delegated to sit as representatives for the community members out there, the residents, and that we're moving ahead, and they're happy with the progress. So we're continually working on that. I guess that's all. More to come, obviously, as I mentioned. There's always a lot going on at Mohawk Council of Kahnawake. I hope you tune in to weekly. We have the Chiefs on Cut. All of the Ratitsénhaienhs will be updating you on the work that they're doing. And we do have a upcoming community meeting. I think it's scheduled for December, before the holidays and before the wrap up and going into 2024. But yeah, so more to come, and Yawakoa for tuning in today. Zeni Zariosta. Onigiwahi.